we've always jived. And when Shirley and I jive, there is no dementia.
Interesting.
There really is no dementia. She will move to the music, not as good as she used to, and I don't as good as I used to, but she moves to it. We'd met in 1966 at a dance at the Hurstville Civic Centre. Every Saturday night there was a dance there. I spotted Shirley in the barn dance. And apparently she spotted me.
Do you remember what it was that you spotted? What
she
did you
was
see?
good looking. She was a good sort. And I'd said a few words to her and she seemed very nice. She came round, off she went. She was a very confident woman. In fact, probably that's a lot of things that attracted me to her. She was, very forthright. She knew what she wanted, very strong. Yeah, quiet. She was a very quiet person. In fact, it's funny, that's something I've noticed. I'll just divert, but her personality change has been incredible. She was very quiet, but once we had kids, her personality changed enormously. Like school and that, she was, meeting with other parents and families and that. She was far more outspoken, and once dementia came, it reverted back. She couldn't. And I think that a lot of the dementia groups I've been involved with too, that a lot of people do get, because they're behind the conversation, so they're not picking up, so they get quieter and quieter and quieter, so, yeah.
What was it like parenting with Shirley when the kids were teenagers and,
Yeah, well, she did all the caring. She was great. She was a really good carer. I put myself in the traditional role of my vintage. I'm about to turn 80 next year.
You look amazing for 80.
Yeah.
But in that vintage, you did a 9-to-5 job, and that was it. I worked with a water board, and that was what I did. So I was leaving from Sylvania. I used to leave home about 7:30. I'd get home about 7 at night. So those 5 days were all Shirley.
She was the core of the home,
She was it.
She was running everything.
Yeah, she was running the whole show, And I say that now that with dementia, and I've said it to my kids too, like, it's now our turn to be carers.
So talk to me about what happened in the lead up to Shirley's diagnosis. What was the first sign that you saw?
On the cruise, they put a little note under your door saying, tomorrow we're doing blah, 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 blah. We went to bed. Next morning I got up and Shirley said, what are we doing? I said, we both read this the previous night. And she
it
had gone, yeah. So there was a couple more of those little things, she forgot to do something.
Did that start to sort of nibble in your mind, starting to notice a couple of little things?
Yeah.
And then so you subconsciously started to be a bit of aware?
Well, not really. No, I just thought I was old age. We all do this. Forget the keys, forget everything. So I didn't really click, but I've got my eldest daughter's a GP. So she came, when we got home, I told her, and she said, I've noticed a few things in Mum as well. I said, all right, okay. And again, we just put it down. She said, look, she said, Vincent, Prince of Wales have got a dementia clinic you can go to. So, and I still remember it. We walked in, they gave us a few little tests and that, and said, oh yeah, Shirley has dementia. I went, what? I nearly fell off the chair,
Can you just explain to me what her reaction was? Like, for you, obviously it came as a shock, but you're there trying to support her. How did Shirley take that news?
Yeah, the very first thing she said, my grandchildren won't know me, and burst into tears. And that she realised what it was. Yeah. I was still probably in denial for about 6 months. I'll be honest with myself, She wasn't doing a lot out of, there was forgetting little things, but it wasn't anything drastic. And I thought, really, is this dementia? Shirley, she sort of, as I said, she didn't sort of show enough symptoms at first, and then as time, 8 years now, I'm at the end of the line in that sense, there's not much left. But over that period of time, and it's been that, and it's the levels, Oh, you'll get your levels of drops, and then you adjust. As a carer, that's what I find, that I've got to adjust. No one can tell me what to do. It becomes a very personal thing where you know how to handle things, and you just pick up on that. And I mean, Shirley's not the girl I married. No, nothing is left of that. It's all gone.
When did it start to feel like you were becoming her carer then, that you were starting to take more control over the day-to-day running
probably
of things?
a few years, I'd say. Shirley was still capable of doing things.
Can you just talk to me, Cole, about how you now think about your relationship with Shirley, given that it's, as you say, you've moved into the carer role, and I think you were describing it earlier as, there's not a lot of the person you first met left. How do you hold that in your own mind and maybe in your own heart?
Yeah, well, it is memories. Memories are important, I think. I sum it up by saying that it was a shared love back then. It's now dependent love. It really is. It's all me, just depending on me. There's not a lot she can share anymore because she can't. There's no conversation left anymore. And that's difficult. That is hard. But I remember when she first got diagnosed, I thought, well, I'm not going to sit on my bum and do nothing about this. I've got to work it. I know it's not going to be easy. I took that on. It was a challenge in a sense. I mean, I've always been involved with things. Well, this is my new thing I can get involved with. And if I can keep Shirley happy for the moment, I mean, the whole life now is moments.
Do you feel lonely?
Yes. Yeah, you do. Shirley does 2 half-days daycare now, and when I first got the offer to do it, I basically, no, I don't need it. Because I felt I had to be doing something. It was that, I've got to, if I got that 4 hours, I've got to do this, this and this. And my daughter, the doctor, said, Dad, it's your mind. It's giving you free mind space. Shirley's safe. She's happy there.
So important. It's like a parent with a young child.
It is.
They just need a break just to be yourself for a moment and not worry about somebody.
Yeah. But it's funny, yesterday she was in care, and I was walking by myself, and I thought, this is what it's going to be like. It's going. It's but you do get lonely, and you're grieving. You're already grieving.
What would be your takeaway for people in your position now? What would you advise them to do, at this nearer stage to perhaps care full-time?
I think being involved with what they like. If you can pick what they like doing, keep that going, sort of thing. So, I mean, we walk a lot. Shirley's still swimming. I put a noodle on. I mean, I wouldn't trust her now without the noodle. And a lot of times she doesn't want to get in. It's like, and they lose so much confidence. I found that was another thing that, years ago, so I could just put Shirley in the water and off we go. But now it's I've got to walk her down the steps, have the noodle in position, and then I'll go. And it's a sort of little push. Just get in there. Once she's in, she's fine. And I feel that from an exercise point of view and all that, she's got a crooked knee, so she can't walk as much as she used to. She's done at least 25 Cirque du Soleils. She used to bring the kids to watch me, and then she started doing it with me and all that sort of thing.
Pretty impressive.
And so that I try and just keep the involvement going. It'd be so much easier just to sit back and let it happen. But I've had a couple of specialists say to me that Shirley wouldn't be where she is now without you being there to keep these things going. But we've always jived, and I mean that's a meeting at a dance. So
it's always been a passion, but that was really about learning and getting some sort of formal routine.
But when the jive comes, and when Shirley and I jive, there is no dementia.
Interesting.
There really is no dementia. She will move to the music, not as good as she used to, and I don't as good as I used to, but she moves to it. And we still do it. I mean, someone said, go and do a dance class, but that won't work. It's just not. But we do choir as well now on every Tuesday. We're going here this afternoon, and that's brilliant. I just love choir, and Shirley loves it. You put words in front of them, you start the music of our vintage, off we go.
What advice do you give to other people that find themselves in a situation like
Be patient, very patient, and be positive. My 2 Ps. I mean, you've got to stay positive. It's so easy to slip into it and say, "Oh, this is." And I think with care, it is the easy way out in a sense. I can see why a lot of couples who haven't got a strong relationship would split up for sure. Because, it'd be so much easier, you go to care, I'll go my way. And I feel that, because we had this strong relationship, I'm more than willing to give back.
Cole, thank you very much for talking to us, and obviously well done on all the amazing support and care that you're giving to Shirley.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
You're quite an amazing guy.
I want others to know, and I want that stigma to be lifted and lifted and lifted.
Hold the Moment is a podcast from Dementia Australia, produced by Dead Set Studios.